Okay, today we will be discussing about topic 6, discourse and society. So, who will be the first to explain? Okay, Nara.
Uh, okay. I will give my understanding about our topic today is discourse and society. So this topic will discuss about important aspects of the social and cultural settings of spoken and written discourse. So we will start with the discourse community first. So, discourse community is a group of people who share some kind of activity, and the members of a discourse community have particular ways of to communicating with each other, and they generally have share the goals and may have shared the values and beliefs, and the person is often a member of more than one discourse community. So, for example, someone may be a university student and a member of a community volunteer organization and a member of athletic, for example. So the ways in which people communicate with each other and exchange information will vary according to the group. And the next subtopic is language as social and local practice. So the choice of language or language variety may be determined by the domain of the language is being used in, such as with family, with friends, or educational, for example. And the social factors for this language is who we are speaking to and the social context of the interaction and the topic or function and also the goal of the interaction. Is it will affect the way someone is speaking. For example, like someone in home and in office will have the different way to speak because it's about the different place and also the difference she or he is speaking to. So language is both social and local practice, and the meanings is to make sure the use of language are based in the ideologies and the activities and also the belief of what it means to be in a particular place at a particular time and also in a particular setting. So next topic is discourse and gender. According to Wetherill, gender is not just natural and in or consequence of one biological sex. It is rather part of the routine, ongoing work of everyday or social interaction. So this is the product of of social practice. And the discussion of how men and women speak and what they do as they speak has also been extended to how people speak about men and women. So all levels of language and discourse, as well as aspects of nonverbal and other kinds of behavior, are involved in doing gender. So the relationship between language and gender is almost always indirect, and because is it mediated by something else. And a person may, however, perform a certain identity in their conversation. And people also use the language to construct the sexual identities and relationships, how this varies across cultures, and how people express love and desire through language. So next subtopic is discourse and identity. So a person may have a number of identities, each of which is more important at different point in time. So they may have an identity as a woman, an identity as a mother, an identity as someone's partner, and identity as the office worker, for example. And the ways in which people display their identities includes the way they use language and the way they interact with people. And the information a person gives to about themselves and in turn their identity depends very much on the context. So the location and purpose of the discourse. There are two types of discourse and identity. The first one is identity and casual conversation. So casual conversation is a highly structured, functionally motivated, and semantic activity, while identity and written academic discourse is a significant issue in written discourse, especially in student academic writing. So students often face challenges in writer identity due to bringing different writers' voice from their first language setting. And next subtopic is discourse and ideology. So texts are never ideology free, nor are they objective, nor can they be separated from the social realities and processes they contribute to maintain. From according to Treadgold, observes, a spoken or written genre never is never just the reformulation of a linguistic model, but always the performance of a politically and historically significant process. And there are a number of ways in which ideology might be explored in text. The analysis may start by looking at textual features in the text and move from there to explanation and interpretation of the analysis. So I think that's all for me. Thank you.
Okay, who is the next? I am. Okay, the first material is discourse and community. So discourse community is a group of people who share some kind of activity. Members of a discourse community have particular ways of communicating with each other. Um, they generally have shared goals and may have shared values and beliefs. So a person is often a members of more than one discourse community. So someone may be a university student, a member of a community volunteer organization, and a member of a church group. It's that the example. So next is language as social and local practice. Then often have a repertoire of social identities and discourse community memberships. They may also have a linguistic repertoire that they draw on for their linguistic interactions. So that is, they may have a number of languages or language varieties they use to interact in within their particular communities. Uh, social factors such as who we are speaking to, the social context of the interaction, the topic, function, and goal of the interaction, social distance between speakers, and the formality of the setting or type of interaction, and the status of each of the speakers are also important for the language choice that a person makes in these kinds of setting. Next is discourse and gender. Early, like the analysis of gender and discourse look at the relationship between the use of language and the biological category of sex. This has now moved to an examination of the ways language is used in relation to the social category, or rather the socially constructed category of gender. The discussion of how men and women speak and what they do as they speak has also been extended to how people speak about men and women. So the relationship between language and gender is almost always in the indirect, mediated by something else. The ways the that people speak are in the first instance associated with particular roles, activities, and personality traits such as being a mother, gossiping, and being modest. The extent to which these roles, activities, and personality traits become associated in a particular culture with being gender lead to these ways of speaking, pointing to, or indexing. Next is discourse and identity. So a person may have a number of identities, each of which is more important at different points in time. They may have an identity as a woman, an identity as a mother, an identity as someone's partner, and an identity as an office worker, or etc. The ways in which people display their identities includes the way they use language and the way they interact with other people. They are constructed in large part through the use of discourse. Identity further is not something that is fixed and remains the same throughout a person's life. It is something that is constantly constructed and reconstructed as people interact with each other. And then the earliest studies into the relationship between language and identity were based on a varianist perspective. That is, they look at the relationship between social variables such as social class in terms of variation in the use of linguistic variables, such as certain features of pronunciation or the use of non-standard grammar. The identities that people establish then provide an interesting example of how people create identities through their use of language that may, in some cases, be separate and distinct from their offline identity. Next is identity and casual conversation. Like, identity is a negotiated experience in which we define who we are by the way we experience ourselves, as well as by the ways we and others define ourselves. Identities are not fixed, but constantly being constructed and negotiated through the way we do things and ways of belonging to a group. So, uh, like example of how people in online worlds create and establish identities that may be quite different at times from their offline actual identities. So next is identity and written academic discourse. Identity is as much an issue in written discourse as it is in spoken discourse. This is particularly in case in student academic writing, and that the view that is often presented to students that academic writing is faceless impersonal discourse. So like an academic literacy's perspective on academic writings is learning to write in academic settings as learning to acquire a repertoire of linguistic practices which are based on complex sets of discourses, identities, and values. So this means understanding what is required of writers at a particular level of study in terms of attitudes to knowledge and how this is through language. And then this is also involves how a writer at the particular level shows their command of their subject matter and their ability to critically reflect on it. So that is students need to show both their authorial identity and authority through the text they are writing in such a way that their reader will recognize and respond to this. So next is discourse and ideology. The values and ideologies which underlie texts tend to be hidden rather than overtly stated. And for trade goals, spoken and written genres are not just linguistic categories, but among the very processes by which dominant ideologies are reproduced, transmitted, and potentially changes. A spoken or written genre is never just the reformulation of a linguistic model, but always the performance of a politically and historically significant process. So there are a number of ways in which ideology might be explored in a text. The analysis may start by looking at textual features in the text and move from there to explanation and interpretation of the analysis. So this may include tracing underlying ideologies from the linguistic features of a text, unpacking particular biases and ideological presuppositions underlying the text, and relating the text to other texts and to readers and speakers' own experiences and beliefs. So that's all from me. So who is the next, guys?
Okay, I'm the last. Okay. So uh we're talking about the topic 6. The topic is discourse and society. So the first all is language as social and local practice. So language is more than just a tool for communications. It's a deeply social and local practice that shapes and reflects the cultural and historical and political context in which it's are used. This perspective is highlight the intricate relationship between language, discourse, and society. For example, is I like a sentence about climatic change. Next is discourse and gender. So refers to ways in those language is used to create a meaning and the shape of social and reality. Gender is a social construct that shapes our identities, behaviors, and relationships. The intersection of discourse and gender is a complex and multifaceted area of the study and explores how language is used to reinforce, challenge, or create gathered norms and stereotypes. Like the and the book mentions is for Butler 1893 and Livia and Hall 1997. Early work in the analysis of the gender and discuss look at the relationship between the use of language and the biological categories of sex. This how now this has now moved to an examination of the ways language is used in relations to social category, or rather of the social construction category of the gender. Thus, from the moment a female child is born and someone says it's a discourse and society at 19, that child learns how to the being a girl. So, for next topic is the discourse and identities. So, wait. as a social practice plays a crucial role in shaping and reinforcing the identities. Drug language will construct the communicated and who we are, how see ourselves, and how we want others to present us. And relationship between the language and identity is were based on the variationist perspective. That's they look at the relationships between the social variable, such as a social class, interest variations, in the use of linguistics variables such as certain features of pronunciations, or the use of the non-standard grammar. More recent work, however, the has taken as post-structural perspective on language. Next is for the last topic is discourse and ideology. So refers to the ways in the which language is used to create meaning and shapes of social reality. It encompasses everything from the everyday conversations to formal texts like academic papers and the political speeches. And ideology, a system of the belief, values, and assumptions that underpins social or political systems. It provides a framework for understanding the role and guiding the actions. As the mention of the book for the goal 1989, discourse and ideology, the values and the ideologies which underline text than to be hidden rather than often stated. Observers, the text and ideology free, free are they objective, nor can they be separated from the social realities and process the concept mentioning. This may include the tracing underlying ideologies from the linguistic features of the text, unpacking particular basics and ideological presuppositions underlying the text, and relating the text, other text, and the readers and the speakers. So I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Do you have any question about this topic, guys?
Actually, wait, I don't understand about this topic at all. Can you give me simple understanding, guys? I don't get it.
Sorry, what?
Can you guys because I can't understand about this topic, all of this. Can you give a simple definition about this topic, like what is definition about language as social and local practice, discuss on genders, discuss on identities, and discuss ideology. I don't understand about this topic.
So for me, I think it's the relation to the our understanding of discourse to our environments. It's mean I think the society is mean the our environment. So the subtopic is maybe such as what the first is communities. So the understanding of discourse in our communities or group. Maybe you have a group of your friend in outside of the campus, and the way you you interact with each other is have the discourse communities, I think. And the language as social and local practice, I think uh is the way we choose we choose our language or our attitude to speak with who we speaking to. Like you you speak to your family is different to your to you speak with your friends. And ah 2 minutes left. Okay. And discourse and gender, uh gender give the way someone use their language. So basically men and women are have a different word choice to speak. And also the last one is discourse and identity. So maybe our identity is reflect our ways to speak. I think like that.
Okay, thank you, Nora. It's a good answer. Thank you.
Yes.
How many left with time? How many left?
8 minutes.
Huh?
8
Sorry?
minutes. 8.
8 minutes.
But I think
Okay.
we need to record until this Zoom is in
Over.
because we have because we late to start the recording through.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Wait, where is it? Do you guys have any idea about discourse and ideology? Because I'm a little bit confused about this topic.
I think ideology and discourse, like in terms of discourse, explaining how ideologies influences our daily text and talk, and in terms of how we understand ideological discourse and how discourse is involved in the reproduction of ideology in society. But I don't know very well about this topic.
Okay, thank you, Salsa. Another question? Okay, there is no question. Salsa, I think we can end up this group discussion activity.
Okay, that's all from us. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, sir.